weeks back, I took my YouTube comments over the past 1 year and tried to analyze. The results were not surprising because most of the comments were around building portfolio projects or building end-to-end projects. You wanted me to work on projects. Well, I understand. I know that you all are data enthusiasts willing to jump into the data analytics, BI or data science domain, and most of you also know everything about it, as in you know where to learn, what to learn and how to learn. But most of you are struggling on the portfolio project side. Which portfolio project to work? Which portfolio projects to write in the resumes? Will the recruiters like it? Will they not like it? I'm a fresher, I'm an experienced professional. So many questions popping around projects, project selection, and this is definitely important. Well, I cannot talk about which projects you need to be selecting based on your profile because it will depend, right? But in case you want help from me, you want some guidance from me, let me know in the comment section. Just write down if you are a fresher or an experienced. If experienced, you're coming from which background, what is your total experience, and then based on your profile, I will comment down what portfolio projects you should focus on. So talking about portfolio project, this video is about end-to-end portfolio projects around data science. To be very specific, this is a NLP use case where we are going to work on a sentiment analysis based on some Amazon reviews. And this video idea is one of the ideas taken from the comment section itself. That means if you want me to work on certain projects, leave a comment. I watch and go through each and every comment. So this is going to be an end-to-end NLP sentiment analysis use case where we are going to analyze the reviews. We are going to build a classifier which will be able to predict the sentiments. So if you give a new review, your model will be able to predict whether it is positive sentiment, neutral sentiment or negative sentiment. And we are also taking this entire model and building a pipeline and converting it into APIs and building a Flask web application around it. So this is going to be an end-to-end NLP use case or NLP case study. So in case you are new to this channel, please subscribe the channel. Don't forget to like and share the video. My name is Satyajit Pattnaik and see you in the video. Let's get into the use case. Well, this is going to be an end-to-end NLP project that you had requested. What we are going to do here, we are analyzing Amazon eco reviews. The dataset is publicly available, online available on Kaggle, GitHub and various other platforms. What we are going to do is we will take the data and on Python, on Colab or on Jupyter Notebook, we will be doing the data exploration. So including data cleaning, data transformations and data exploration. Once we get the insights, our very next step is to work on the machine learning models. Maybe XGBoost, random forest or any other kind of classification models. Of course, we will also be applying various NLP techniques. In case you are pretty new to NLP, I would recommend you to go through the use case, and if you are not able to understand any jargons, please search the relevant videos to understand that. In case you need any video from me, let me know in the comment section. So our next steps is going to be exploring data, understanding the data, getting insights, model building, and finally we will be jumping into the Flask application where we will take our Python code and convert it into a Flask APIs. So let's get started with the use case. So let's get started with this use case. So the use case is very clear. We are analyzing Amazon Alexa reviews and we will be exploring the data, we will be understanding the data, and once we understand the data, we will be moving ahead and building a classification model. So to begin with, we start with few imports. As I have already written down the codes, so eventually you keep adding new and new import statements as and when you realize that you need to add more, right? So we always start with 3 or 4 basic imports, and then slowly when we realize we need to add min max scalar or count vectorizer, we come to the first line, we add our imports, and that's how it is. We end up with so many imports. So we are using NumPy, Matplotlib, Pandas, NLTK libraries because we are dealing with the NLP use case. Then we have sklearn models for train, test and for various activities. We have word cloud because we are going to show you the sentiments as part of a word cloud. And we also have XGBoost because we are going to use XGBoost for one of our models. We will be saving the models, so we have used pickle, and requests for request we have used pickle. So getting started with the use case, if you look at the data set, the data set is basically a TSB file, which is a large file. So I will not be able to show you the data set on Excel, but we are going to directly read this and we will be showing you here. So it's a Amazon Alexa data set. Basically we have multiple reviews and there are different columns. Let's try to get into this problem statement and try to behave and act like a layman. Okay, so the moment I loaded the data, this is what the data looks like. I had rating, date, variation, verified reviews and feedback. So my initial intuition was feedback is 1, basically means people have given feedback. 0 means people have not given feedback. That was my initial idea and initial intuition about the data. But going forward, I realized feedback column means something else. So I'll go ahead and explain you further. So talking about the feature names, we are considering everything as a feature because right now we are only doing the data exploration. We don't know what is our X variable and what is our Y variable as of now. So we started with the null value check. We got that there is one value that is null. Okay, and when I went and checked that value, this is what the value was. The rating was 2, the variation was white. That variation basically means what type of Amazon Echo is this. So because this is a Amazon Echo or Amazon Alexa reviews, so the variation is the white variation. If you go ahead and check out images, Amazon Echo white, this is what the product is. There was no reviews, feedback was 0. So I dropped the column because it's just one record and we are left out with 3149 records. So we then created a new column which is length. Length was created just to know what is the length of the verified reviews. So here there are 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 characters and the length was 13 and so on. The length was populated for all the records, all the rows from the verified reviews. Now here I'm doing a random check for the 10th record, and randomly if you check, you can see the original record was this. The length of this record was 65 and length of this record based on our length column was also 65, which basically means our length column logic is working fine. It's just a line of code to understand whether the length was correct or not, as simple as that. So then we started doing the data types of the features and we saw rating is an integer, date object, integer. So rating, feedback and length are integer values, date, variation and verified reviews are string values. So let me go ahead and run these codes so that we can also run it in parallel. Okay, so word cloud is missing. Okay, so now it should work. It is working fine, and then we'll get started with everything. So far all good. Then we will move on to the next part where we will start analyzing the columns. Now there are multiple columns like rating, variation, verified reviews and feedback. Of course we'll also do the length analysis, but majorly these all excluding the date one. Okay, so let's start with rating column. Now when I started doing the value counts on rating, I saw that most of the ratings are 5-star ratings, 2286. Now how many are total records? If I look at the total records, there are 3150. So 2286 divided by 3150 into 100, almost 72.57% of the reviews are 5-star reviews. Okay, and 4-star reviews, again 455. 3-star is 152. Now it's up to you whether you want to consider whether you are going to do a positive and negative review analysis or positive, neutral and negative. If positive and negative, then you can consider 3, 4 and 5 as positive reviews, 1 and 2 as negative reviews. In that case, our total positive reviews percentage will be around plus 455 plus 2286, which is this, divided by 3150 into 100, around 92% of positive reviews, around 8% of negative reviews. Now it's up to you. If you want to do positive, neutral and negative, you can do it accordingly. Okay, as neutral is very low, if I start building a model, then there will be a lot of issues with respect to data imbalancing. So that's why I'm just considering positive and negative, so that I don't worry about a lot of data imbalancing problems. I'll just worry about analyzing the positive and negative reviews and balancing out them. Well, that's a different story. That's a story that will come up in the model building part. Let's move ahead with the analysis part. So I plotted the graph, and this is how the graph looks like. I think it's pretty much clear. This is what the percentage looks like. I have already calculated this physically using a calculator. In this piece of code, I'm just drawing a pie chart, as simple as that, and you can see the percentage distribution here with respect to all the reviews. Secondly, I started analyzing the feedback column. Now, if I go back to the problem statement, I told that we initially thought feedback basically means 1 means person has given feedback, 0 means person has not given the feedback. But things were different when I started analyzing this column. 2893 are positive feedback, are 1 feedbacks, 257 are 0. And I understand that there are 2 distinct values. So let's try to see one record from each of them. So I started analyzing it. You can see the first record of feedback 0 was a negative feedback. The first record of the positive feedback or the 1 feedback was positive. So from here I got an intuition that probably the feedback column is in such a way that 0 means negative feedback and 1 means positive feedback. And I also went ahead and cross-checked these numbers. Positive feedbacks are 2893, and let's go ahead and calculate the total sum of 5, 4 and 3. If you do that, 2286 plus 455 plus 152 is 2893, and you can just cross-check this. The numbers are same, which basically means positive feedback 1 means positive, feedback 0 means negative. So if I plot a graph, this is how the distribution plot looks like. So if I plot a graph, this is how the distribution looks like, 1 and 0. And my percentage distribution is like this, 92 and 8. So 91.87% reviews are positive and rest are negative. Same, I am doing the same with respect to a pie chart. And then next one is understanding the rating columns. Okay, so feedback 0 basically has 1 and 2 ratings, which is clear, which is already understood from my previous analysis, right? And feedback 1 is about 2, 3 and 5. Now here is what you need to change. In case you want to consider 3 feedbacks, then just make it negative, positive and neutral, and take these 3 as neutral. It's up to you. The more you analyze a use case, the more deeper you want to go. Obviously the problem statement will change, the difficulty level will change, but it's up to you how you get into more complex scenarios. Okay, because in industry level problems there could be complex scenarios. So what I am going to build is on positive and negative. If you want to take this ahead to another step, make it positive, neutral and negative. Last before one, I started analyzing the variation column, and this is how the variation looks like. There are multiple variations of Amazon Alexa. Let's try to check few of them. If I go ahead, echo, you can see this is the black dot echo. Charcoal fabric is this one. Let's go ahead with this one. I haven't yet heard about these names also. White spot and simple white. Okay, there are multiple variations. I was not aware of these things, but anyway, it's a new learning every day. So these are all the variations of Amazon Echo that are available, and this is how my distribution looks like. Okay, so the percentage looks like this. Lastly, if I check the variation versus rating, you can see the variation versus rating is something like this. And let's try to analyze the above ratings. You can see walnut finish has a mean high rating, like a rating, very high rating. White one has a low rating. That could be with respect to this particular product. Maybe people don't like white color or not, I don't know. This is what the data is telling us. So people who have taken walnut finish are more happy. It's towards 5-star. People who have taken white or black, simple white and black, they are on the lower side. Lastly, I still have 2 more columns to analyze: verified reviews and length. So verified reviews, okay, this is the last one, length. And then I started analyzing length. You can see if you analyze length of feedback 0, you can see the feedback zeros are shorter ones. You can see the length is little bit towards less side. People, okay, let me go through these graphs. Length analysis when feedback is 0, okay, the length is on the shorter side. Even the positive reviews are also length are on the shorter side, which is fine. And here the average length, the mean length is high for positive feedback. That means people tend to write a bit detailed if they are happy and giving positive reviews. I think this is very common, not just with respect to Amazon Alexa, with respect to any other domain, right? People who are frustrated, who don't like, they just give 1 star and leave, or they just write very bad product. That's it. The length is very small. But people who are interested, who like, they give larger feedbacks, right? Next step is what I'm performing count vectorizer. Well, what exactly is count vectorizer? I will probably give you an idea in the modeling part, because we are going to use it in the modeling. Here, just understand this way. Count vectorizer in simple terms is we take the textual data and convert it into vector representations. Okay, so here I'm calling count vectorizer and fitting it in the CV model, in the count vectorizer model. And once this is done, here is where I'm calling the word cloud. Okay, and this is what the word cloud means for all the reviews. From all the reviews, you can see that some of the highlighted keywords are great, work, love, music, eco. So that's how it is. Now let's try to divide the data into positive and negative feedback, and then see the word cloud. So the word cloud of negative reviews looks like this. Back, it was working, it worked for some time, I don't know. Warranty, garbage, okay, people didn't like it. Worthless, Alexa, cycle, pointless. So these are some of the keywords from the word cloud. And talking about the positive feedbacks, you can see negative words can be seen: garbage, pointless, poor, horrible, repair. Negative, positive ones: love, learning, best, enjoy. So something like that: good, enjoying, amazing, best, great. So that is all about our ED analysis. Now, I always focus on this thing. Whenever you as a student, you as a candidate are working on particular project, don't just blindly move into the model building part. Don't just blindly move into the Flask part. Try to analyze the data, get some feedbacks, get some output, get some analysis done, get some insights that will actually help you in the model building part. So that's all about exploration of data. I hope you had a great exploration session where you understood about the data, what the data is telling. So data exploration is done, our insights are with us, and the next step is going to be the pre-processing of the data and model building. In this particular phase, we are going to create multiple models, including various classification models, and we will be choosing our model. One of the models, we will be finalizing it and then taking that model to the next stage, where we will be using that model and creating a Flask application out of it. So let's get started. Talking further about the model building part and pre-processing part. So we have already done the exploration of data, insights has been gathered. Now we are going to take a next step where we will be identifying our X variables and Y variables, and then based on that we will be creating a classification model. Finally, once our classification model is ready, then we will try to deploy it or convert it into Flask APIs and make a beautiful dashboard or a beautiful front end from where we can call the reviews and get the predictions. As simple as that. So as part of the pre-processing, to build the corpus from the verified reviews, we are performing the following. Whenever we work on an NLP use case, these steps are very common. First, we replace any non-alphabet characters with a space. Then we are converting it to lowercase and splitting the words, then iterating over the individual words, and if it is not a stop word, then add the stemmed form of the word to the corpus. Okay, this is what we are doing using Porter stemmer. Now, what do you mean by Porter stemmer? Expectations from this particular video is that you all know the basic concepts of NLP, because this is an NLP use case. So if you don't know about Porter stemmer, please go ahead and watch some videos related to Porter stemmer. Now, in simple terms, the Porter stemming algorithm, which is also known as Porter stemmer, is a technique used to remove the suffixes from English words and obtain their stems. It is commonly used in the field of information retrieval to reduce the number of terms kept by an IR system, which can be advantageous in terms of space and time complexity. After using Porter stemmer, we are calling count vectorizer to create bag of words. Again, some jargons like count vectorizer and bag of words. Again, these are basic NLP concepts. In simple terms, count vectorizer is nothing but a technique used in natural language processing to convert textual data into numerical representations, because ultimately you will be feeding this data to your machine learning models, and models don't understand categorical data, they need the numerical representations. So using count vectorizer, I'm converting the text data to numerical representations that machine learning algorithms can understand. It is basically a part of scikit-learning library. So here I am calling this, and then I am dumping my pickle file into models/countVectorizer.pkl. We will be using this pkl very soon. Then I am checking my X and Y shape, and then I am calling the training and test split with 30% split, so 70% training data, 30% testing data, and moving ahead. So all these steps are very simple and common. I think most of you might already know. Once the data is ready, you go through scaling techniques, then go through some feature engineering techniques, and then call your models. So this is where I'm saving the scalar model, and I'm calling the random forest classifier. So random forest classifier, again, I'm not passing any parameters here, just basic parameter, and you can see my training accuracy is very high, testing is little bit low. Minutely there is a overfitting problem, but it is kind of fine. My main focus here was letting you understand about an end-to-end portfolio project. If you ask me if this is the best model or the best things that I have done, well, definitely there are room of improvement, right? But it's up to you. You have to take your next step, improve the models, and then work on it. Then I'm doing some k-fold cross validation and applying some grid search and hyperparameter techniques. Well, this will take a lot of time, so I will probably skip this part, let it run. In simple terms, I'm calling multiple algorithms here. It's just a simple notebook. Keep running it and you will get further results. Using XGBoost, I got around 97 and 94% of training and test accuracy, which is comparing to random forest is a better version because there is low the training and test accuracies are somehow closer to each other. Then I did using decision trees, again overfitting problem, and then finally we concluded with one of these models. We took one of these models and created our Flask application. So I'll leave this file with you so that you can go through it, but again the files, the codes, everything will be given to you only after 200 likes because I have done a lot of work here. I have put a lot of efforts. Please like, share and subscribe the channel. Like this video, comments, there has to be comments. If you are liking this video, leave some comments, else leave something, write down something in the comment section. 200 likes and 50 comments is what I'm expecting, and then I'll release the code. So that's all about the model building part. Next we will move ahead with the Flask part where we will be creating the Flask apps, and I will also show you how Flask apps are created, how HTML and CSS files work and so on. So before getting into the Flask app part, I would like to show you the Flask app front end. So this is how the front end looks like. Well, this has been created using HTML and CSS. I do have limited knowledge on HTML and CSS, but I have leveraged ChatGPT and various other tools in order to come up with this particular front end. If you want to use the same use case, I will recommend you not to use the exact same background, image and stuffs. You can probably go ahead, edit your HTML file and reuse it. I don't have a problem. So this is how the application looks like. It's very simple. There are some text and here is the prediction part. There are two ways. Either you can directly do a prediction just by typing the movie was not great, blah blah blah, and then click on predict. You will be able to get the final prediction, whether it was a positive or a negative review. In case you have multiple reviews, then you can also choose your upload. You can upload your CSV file with the predictions and with the reviews as one of the columns, and it will be able to fill up the predictions in the second column. Okay, so this is supporting both. So moving on to the Flask app part. Now building or working on a Flask app is not that simple, not that difficult. If you are a complete beginner in the Flask part, please go ahead and watch out my other videos related to Flask where we have covered everything from scratch. How to start with Flask, how to get started with Flask. Okay, so moving ahead with how we have converted this file into Flask app, you can see I have taken the stop words. I'm initializing the Flask application. So I have three route functions here. One of them is a test one, just wanted to check the test request. Another one is the home, so slash, here I'm using get and post both. We have a landing page, and then this is where I'm calling the predict function. So this is the original one. When you click on predict, it basically goes into the slash predict. So here is where your models are being loaded, and then what I'm doing is I'm checking if the request contains a file, because there are two parts, right? File upload and simple text. If there is a file upload, then I am taking the file and then I am calling the file. I'm basically taking the file. For each record I am calling the predictions, and getting the predictions and writing it into the final file. This is what I'm doing. Else, if it is a text, then I'm just taking the text input from the request, from the front end request, and then I'm calling the single prediction. What is single prediction? If you go ahead, single prediction, there are two methods, single prediction and bulk prediction. In single prediction, what's happening? I'm again doing the same thing. I'm converting. I'm using the Porter stemmer, removing the stop words. Whatever I was doing in my original Jupyter notebook, I'm doing the same. Then I'm transforming the data using the count vectorizer, then scalar transformation, which is a feature scaling transformation. Then I'm calling the predictor, predict proba, and then that's it. I'm just passing this Y prediction. If it is 1, then positive. If it is 0, then negative. That's it. And with the bulk prediction, I'm calling the bulk prediction method. Bulk prediction, I'm doing the same thing, but in a loop for multiple rows. For multiple rows, for one row, I'm taking it in a loop and then doing the same thing, just in a loop. And here I'm calling the predictions for each record and storing it in the second column. That's it. Apart from that, I also have a graph that I'm showing on the front end as part of the return. When you are calling a bulk method, uploading a file, it will also give you a graph which will show you how many of them are positive, how many of them are negative reviews. I'm showing it as a pie chart. Okay, so with intermediate level of Python understanding and intermediate level of machine learning understanding, you will definitely be able to understand this piece of code. It's not very difficult. Moving on to the HTML file where the most of the complexity is. Okay, this is basically a template file that we have used. In case you want to reuse it, do not tamper a lot with the code. If you don't have HTML and CSS understanding, you can tamper with the title, you can tamper with the text codes that is shown here. Apart from that, if you go down, you can see here are some buttons. You can definitely do inspect and try to understand it. If you do inspect, you will be able to understand where this text is, what is this part. You will be able to understand CSV file input. You go here and check where is CSV file input. So this is the input part. If you want to change the colors and all those things, play around with it. It's all about playing around and learning. In case even after going through this code you are still having some doubts or any other doubts or any other requests that you want me to work on, please let me know in the comment section. So code walkthrough is done. Our next step is to start the application and show you the front end. So we will go, I will just open this thing and then I will quickly run this API file. So Python api.py and then our Flask app will be ready. You can see the Flask app is hosted on this. Let's try to, my bad. So I'll go here and you can see my Flask app is ready. So our next step is to do some predictions. So let's do it. So let's go ahead and test it out. Let's say I will pass does not work all the time. And here you can see the predicted sentiment is negative. I'll also do the same using a positive feedback. Let's say I did a good investment buying eco. Let's say we'll see. And you can see the predictive sentiment is positive. So for these two examples, the prediction result is perfectly alright. You can also test out using this functionality. I'm not doing that as of now. Test it out by yourself. Now, one thing to remind you is that I have used the XGBoost model here. The reason behind that is very simple. I explained you that the training and the testing accuracy is somehow similar. There is not a lot of difference. You should not you should not be using the decision tree or the random forest model, because the testing accuracy for decision tree is 91, the testing accuracy of random forest is 92. And if you remember, the original data distribution was 92:8, which means 92% accuracy is not a great accuracy. In fact, accuracy is cursed because the data is imbalanced. Now, I'm not performing the balancing out here. I have already shown you the way on how to work on this end-to-end project. 90% of the work is done. 10% of the work is to fine-tune it further, try to balance out the data using various balancing techniques like cost-sensitive classifiers or upsampling, downsampling, whatever it is. Balance out the data, recreate your XGBoost model, and then take your final XGBoost model here, and I think you should be alright. Your model should be even better than that. So what are the balancing out techniques? Please let me know in the comment section, and also let me know in the comment section if you are able to improve the score of training and test. If you are achieving towards 98% of training and testing accuracy both, that means it's a success to you. That's all about this particular use case. The codes and everything will be given to you at 200 likes and 50 comments. Please like, share and subscribe the channel.